This is Sara Sach with Posh Pooch Designs, and today's video is step 1 of our sprinkle donut pillow crochet along. In today's video, I'm going to be showing you how to stitch up the top portion of our donut, and then in the next video, step 2, I will be showing you how to do the back portion of our donut. And then on the third step, I'm going to show you how to assemble it, how to stuff it, and how to decorate it. This is a really easy pattern. And if you're looking for the supply list, I did the supply list and a few notes on yarns and how to pick your yarns on the first video. And I'll put that video up here in the corner, and then you can just click on that link and find it. Now, this is a free pattern on my blog. And I will put that blog link also, and it'll be right down underneath the video in the notes. And you can just click on that. You can get the supply list, the notes on yarns, and anything else you may want to know. And the truth is, the whole pattern is already written out there for you, so you can also take a look at it and give it a try if you want to. Just a short recap on yarns. This donut can be made out of either worsted weight number 4 using 2 strands, which is what we're going to be doing today, or you can use a chunky number 5. The one sprinkle donut that I made is the top is made out of this chunky number 5, this Deborah Norville, and the bottom is made out of this chunky number 5. You can use 1 strand of chunky number 5 or 2 strands of worsted weight number 4. Now, I get questions a lot about how do you do 2 strands. And one thing that you can do is if you want to use 1 skein, you can work from the top and the center pull at the same time and stitch them together. But I find it's easier if I just grab 2 skeins that are the same and just work with them from the center pull together. Now, if you don't want to have a second skein and you don't want to unwrap the outside along with the inside, you can take that skein and roll it into 2 balls or 2 cakes so that you've got 2 and you're working with 2 strands at the same time. For today's demonstration, I'm going to be using this light beige for the donut portion of the donut. And then I'm going to be using this a little bit darker brown color because I'm going to make this donut have a chocolate frosting top. And then when it comes time to add the decorations, I'm going to use this bright red heart. I don't even know what it's called because I don't have the label anymore, but it's a neon colors. It's not one of the new stripes, but it's one of my favorites because it's so much fun. And I'm going to use that for the sprinkles on top of my donut. So I think this color will stand out really good up next to my chocolate brown. So that's what I'm going to be using for our demonstration today. Now we're going to be starting with the basic donut color. And then we're going to be switching colors to the donut frosting color, and then we'll end back with the donut color because remember, today is step 1 and we're only doing the top portion of our donut pillow. And also, just to remind you, we're using our end hook, which is a 9mm. You're also going to need a needle with a nice big eye because you're going to need, when weaving in ends and things, to make sure you can get the 2 strands or the chunky through the eye of your needle. And then of course you're going to need a pair of scissors, and the last thing you'll need is about 6 to 8 ounces of polyester fiber filled. And I say 6 to 8. You can add as much stuffing as you want, or you can make it not so stuffed depending on what you're going to do with it. We're going to be starting our donut from the center and working out and increasing on each row as we go. So we're going to hold our 2 strands of worsted weight number 4 together, or if you're using a chunky, you'll just have the 1 strand. We're going to make our slip knot, put our hook right through that loop, and chain 4. So there is our 4 chains. the first 3 chains will count as a first double crochet. And then we're going to place 9 double crochets right in that 4th chain. To make a double crochet, you yarn over your hook. You put your hook in the stitch or chain that you're working, and you pull up that loop. You'll have those 3 loops on your hook. Yarn over. Make sure you grab both of them if you're using 2, and go through 2 loops. Yarn over and go through 2 loops. And you'll see how big that stitch is, and that's why this pillow works up so fast and is so fun. So our chain 3 counted as 1 double crochet, and now we stitched 1 double crochet, so that makes 2. So we need to stitch 8 more double crochets right in that hole. So yarn over, go in that hole, and stitch a double crochet. And I'm going to tell you it's going to get a little bit snug in there. Just keep pushing. Stitch a few, push them over, because I want you to get all 9 double crochets in there, because our chain 3 counted is our first double crochet. Uh-oh, little knot. There we go. It happens to us all. So here's our chain 3, which counts as our first double crochet, and then 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So I have a few more to go. 8. 9 and 10. The main thing to remember when stitching with 2 strands is to keep them together. If you let them get loose or loopy, you might not catch that thread. So keep your yarn snug together, and I just do this every now and then just to keep it together. So anyway, there's our 10 double crochets. We're going to take our hook and put it right in the top of that chain 3. Yarn over and pull that through, and then pull that loop that's on the hook right through the loop that's already on the hook. And that's called a slip stitch. And so now we have 10 double crochets all joined together. All right. For row 2, we're going to be placing 2 double crochets in each of the 10 double crochets. So let's chain 3, 1, 2, 3. And then we're going to place a double crochet right in that same place that we did that chain 3, that same stitch. So that gives us 2 double crochets. And now we're going to stitch 2 double crochets in each of the 9 that we have remaining. And we're taking 10 double crochets and turning it into 20. And one thing to watch as you're doing this is not to make your stitches too tightly, or it will start to curl up. We want this to lay nice and flat at this point. So we're placing 2 double crochets in each of the 10 double crochets around, and then we're going to join to the top of that chain 3 again. So I have stitched 2 double crochets in each stitch around. So now I have a total of 20. And we're again going to put our hook through the top of that chain 3, pull a loop through, then pull that loop through the loop on our hook, and that's a slip stitch, and then we're going to chain 3. Alrighty. Now for our third row, we're going to be doing what I call 1 and 2. We're going to be stitching 1 double crochet in the same stitch as our chain 3. And then we'll only stitch 1 double crochet in the next stitch. Then the next stitch, we'll stitch 2 double crochets. And so we're stitching 1 and 2. And this is going to make our 20 stitches into 30 stitches. So 2 double crochets in the next stitch, 1 double crochet in the next stitch, 2 double crochets, 1, 2, and 1 double crochet in the next. And be sure again not to pull too tightly because this still should be laying nice and flat. And we'll continue this all the way around. 2 double crochets, 1 double crochet, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, all the way around. And then we'll join again to the top of our chain 3. So for row 3, you should have 30 double crochets, and then we're going to join again to the top of that chain 3. Pull a loop through and pull that loop through the loop on your hook. Now we're going to be changing colors here. This is the center portion of the donut, and now we're going to add the brown that I'm using for my frosting. So I'm going to go ahead and cut this and give myself enough to weave in good, and set those yarns aside and grab my chocolate frosting yarn. Now, of course, you can use any colors that you want for your donut frosting. All right, so now I'm going to take my new yarn, wrap it around my hook, pull that through, snug that down. There we go. And I usually hold those with my finger. Go ahead and snug the brown one, the new color, in, and then we're going to chain 3. 1, 2, 3. There we go. All right. Now, what we're going to do on row 4 is we're going to increase the same way we did on row 3, only we're going to be doing what I call 2 and 2. So I'm going to stitch 1 double crochet in the same stitch as my chain 3. I'll go right down in there. Because remember, the whole donut back and front is all stitched in double crochets. All right, then I'm going to stitch 1 double crochet, there we go, in the next 2 stitches. And then the next one we'll do 2 double crochets. And so the way row 4 works is 2 double crochets in the next stitch and 1 double crochet in the next 2 stitches. 1 and 2. We stitched 1 double crochet in the same stitch as our chain 3, and then we stitched 1 double crochet in the next 2 stitches. We stitched 2 double crochets in the next, 1 double crochet in the next 2, and that's why I call it 2 and 2. 2 double crochets in the next stitch, and then 1 double crochet, go, in the next 2. And we will repeat this all the way around. 1 and 2. 1 and 2. And again, this portion, this row and up through the next 4 rows, we really want them to lay nice and flat. So be careful not to stitch your stitches too tightly. And it's really easy to stitch tightly when you're working with 2 strands of yarn. So you have to kind of loosen up just a little bit. So for this row, we're stitching 2 double crochets in the next stitch, and then 1 double crochet in the next 2. 2 double crochets in the next stitch, and 1 double crochet in the next 2. We'll do this all the way around our circle, and then we'll join to the top of our chain 3 again. This is how your donut should look at this point. You should have 3 rows of your donut color and then 1 row of your frosting color. All right, so let's do 1, 2, 3, 4, the 5th row. And the 5th row is similar to the 4th row. The only difference is instead of having 2 double crochets between our 2 double crochets, we're going to have 3. So we're going to be doing 2 and 3. So I've already joined to my first, or to the top of the chain 3, and I've chained 3. I'm going to make my stitch in that same stitch as my chain 3. And now I'm going to place 1 double crochet in the next 3 double crochets. Some more yarn, and then I'm going to place 2 double crochets in the next. One double crochet in the next 3 double crochets, and then 2 double crochets in the next. And again, I really want to stress to loosen up and not stitch too tightly on this, because we really want these first rows before we start doing the side of the donut to lay nice and flat like a pancake. All right, so for this 5th row, we're going to be stitching 2 double crochets in 1 stitch, and then 1 double crochet in the next 3 stitches all the way around, and then we'll join again to the top of our chain 3. See how fast this is going? I just love this project. This is how it should look after that 5th row, our 2nd row of frosting. You can see the center is the lighter color and the darker on the outside. So now we're going to do our 6th row. And our 6th row is exactly like our 5th row, only we're going to have 4 individual double crochets between our 2 double crochets together. So I've already joined to the top of my chain 3, and I chained 3. I'm going to place a double crochet in that same stitch as my chain 3. Here we go. And then I'm going to stitch 1 double crochet in the next 4 stitches. And this is how our 6th row is going to work. 2 double crochets in 1 stitch and 1 double crochet in the next 4. And again, we'll do this all the way around. And again, I want to remind you to stitch a little bit loosely. There is a tendency, and I do it too, that when I'm stitching with 2 or more strands of yarn, I tend to tighten it up, and I don't know why I do that. If you don't, that's okay. Just watch what you're doing, and if it starts to curl up too much on you, then you're probably just stitching a little tight. You need to loosen up a little. All right. So here's our 2 together, and then 1, 2, 3, 4 individual double crochets. I don't want to call them single double crochets because a single crochet is not the same as a double crochet, and I don't want to confuse you. All right, so 2 double crochets together in the next stitch, and then 1 double crochet in each of the next 4. Pull my yarn a little bit, make sure it stays straight and together. And if you've never worked with 2 strands together, don't let it frighten you. It is really, really easy. Here's our 2 together. 1, 2, 3, 4 individual double crochets. And we'll continue to do this all the way around our row till we reach back over here, and we'll join to the top of our chain 3 again. I completed the 6th row of 2 double crochets together and then 1 double crochet in the next 4 double crochets. I went ahead and joined with a slip stitch to the top of my chain 3, and then I chained 3. Now again, on row 7, it's similar to row 6. The difference is we're going to do those 2 double crochets together, and then instead of having 4 individual double crochets between our 2 double crochet groups, we're going to have 5. So here's my chain 3. I'm going to double crochet in the same stitch as my chain 3, and then I'm going to stitch 5 individual double crochets, 1 in each of the next 5 double crochets. Now I know you must see a pattern by now on how we're doing our increases. We started increasing by 1, and then we went to 2, then we went to 3, then we went to 4, and on this row, 5. And just a note, if you want to make this donut bigger than what I have made, you can continue on with that pattern. Now, we're going to be doing 5 on this row, and then we're going to do another row where there'll be 6 in between. And that will be as big as it will get for the donut frosting portion, and then we'll begin doing the sides. But I wanted you to be aware of the pattern that we're doing with our increase. All right, so I'm going to put 2 double crochets in the next stitch, and then I'm going to place 1 double crochet in each of the next 5 double crochets, and then I'll repeat that all the way around for row 7. Here's my 2 double crochets, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1 more, 2 double crochets in the 1 stitch, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 double crochets in each of the next 5, 1 in each of the next 5, then 2 double crochets in the next. And that is the pattern, like I said, for row number 7. We'll repeat that all the way around, making sure we make our stitches a little bit loose so that our donut lays flat. We'll come back around to the end, join to the top of our chain 3, and chain 3. So we've completed the 7th row of our frosting, and we're going to do just 1 more row, and we're going to continue on with that pattern of 2 double crochets together, only we're going to have 6 double crochets in between our 2 double crochets together. So I've gone ahead and joined to the top of my chain 3, and I chained 3. We're going to place a double crochet in the same stitch as our chain 3. And now I'm going to place 1 double crochet in each of the next 6 double crochets. And this goes along with the pattern that we were talking about, 2 double crochets with individual double crochets in between to form the increases. So on this row, we'll be placing 2 double crochets in the next stitch, 1 and 2. And then we'll place 1 double crochet in the next 6 double crochets. And we'll repeat this all the way around. And this is our last row of frosting. So if you're doing yours in pink or purple or yellow or green or red or variegated, whatever you chose, you only should have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 rows of frosting for this pillow. 1, 2, 3, 4. I need to make 2 more individual double crochets. 1, 2, and then 2 double crochets in the next. So again, we're going to repeat our little pattern here all the way around. 2 double crochets with 6 individual double crochets in between. 2 double crochets, 6, 2, 6, all the way around. As we've done, we'll join to the top of our chain 3, but don't chain 3 because we're going to be changing back to our lighter color. I completed the 5 rows of the frosting, and there's the 3 rows of the donut. Now, when we form the donut, we're going to do some cinching in the middle, and that will pull that in from both sides and cause it to look like a donut without having a hole in the middle. But we'll do that in the 3rd step with our assembly and decorating video. All right, so it's time to clip our yarn, because we're done with our frosting color, and I'm just going to toss that over there. And then I'm going to pick back up my light color, because this is the color of the donut itself, where this is my frosting color here. All right, now we're not going to do any more increases. All we're going to do is 2 rows of just 1 double crochet in each double crochet around, and that's going to cause our donut to start to have sides. So we're going to hold that color down that we cut off. We're going to put our new color in, just like we did before. Snug that down. Hold those new colors. I'm going to give myself a little bit longer string there. I like to have a couple inches for weaving in, so I know it's going to stay put. So snug those down. Just hold it with my fingers, and we're going to chain 3. There we go. 1, 2, and 3. All right, so all we're going to do, we'll come back in and weave those in later, and I'll show you how to do that. All we're going to do for this row, which is row 9 and then row 10, is 1 double crochet in each double crochet around. So we're going to go to the next double crochet, not the same one of our chain 3, because we don't want 2 double crochets in the first stitch. So we're just placing 1 double crochet in each double crochet around. And it's okay on this row if you tighten up just a smidge, just because we want this to be the side of our donut. And you'll see as you're working that it will pull in just a little bit. And that's exactly what we want it to do. So for row 9, 1 double crochet in each double crochet, working all the way around, and then join to the top of our chain 3 and chain 3. This is how the edge should look after row 9. I'm going to turn it over so you can see that it curls up just a little bit all the way around the edge. And that's what we want it to do because we're building the side of our donut. And so what we're going to do next for row 10 is exactly what we did for row 9. Join to the top of that chain 3, chain 3, and 1 double crochet in each stitch around. And then once we get around, all the way around, we're going to join again, and then we're going to tie off. And then I'll show you how to weave in those ends that we have hanging out where we changed colors. So for row 10, we're just stitching 1 double crochet in each double crochet all the way around our edge, and then joining to the top of that chain 3. See how quickly this donut works up? I just love when I can work a quick project that turns out so cute. So just to repeat, 1 double crochet in each double crochet around, join. This is the second row of double crochet that I stitched for the side of my donut, and you can see how it's standing up for the side, and that's exactly what we want it to do. So I'm going to go ahead and cut my yarn, leaving myself a little bit of a tail for weaving in my end. There we go. And I'm going to show you how to weave your end in. Let's go ahead and pull that string, and then I'm going to pull that to the back or to the inside. Now this is the inside of your donut. This is the top of your donut here. We want to make sure we pull those strings to the inside. Okay, I'm going to flatten that out just a little. And make sure you have a needle with a nice big eye because you're going to have to put both those strands through. Now, if you don't have a needle with that big of an eye, you can do the yarn strands individually for weaving in your ends. And what I do, I've got that pulled to the back, and I try to stay within the color of the yarn I'm weaving in, and I make some stitches. If you want it to stay nice and snug, go one way, then the other, and try to get through some fibers of the yarn so it doesn't come out. Give it a nice tug and clip it off. And one thing about this, it's going to be on the inside, so you want to make sure when I'm doing this darker brown, I don't want to weave it in so that it shows through on the lighter brown. Flatten that out a little bit. Put that yarn on my needle, and I'm going to go one way with my needle. I'm going to turn, get through some yarn fibers, not just some of the stitches. Now make sure you don't go through holes. You do want to make sure you stay in stitches. And then turn around and go back the other way. Give it a snug and clip it off. Weaving in is very important. And a lot of people will just tie a knot, and it's okay if you're a knot tier, but do take a few seconds also and just weave in a little bit of the tail that you have left, because there's nothing more heartbreaking than to work really hard on a project, and the first time it goes through the wash, those ends come out. So, see how I'm going through stitches and yarn fiber? See, I lost that one, so I'll just put it back on my needle. I think I'm going to put my needle through like that. Kind of a little trick. If it comes out, then you can thread it and just pull it through. There we go. I tie knots sometimes, and sometimes I use a little bit of fray check or fabric glue to keep it from coming undone. But when I'm going to do something where I still really try to weave in my ends using a needle, because that's the best way, in my own opinion, to keeping them from coming out. All right, so this is step 1, the top of the donut. And then step 2 will be the bottom of the donut.